So this arrived this morning, about 2 hours ago. I read it once, laughed out loud, printed it. I do believe it deserves to be read again. Michael, I have some news, big news. But first, I should tell you that last Wednesday, your father and I were struck by lightning. It wasn't a direct hit, thankfully, or you'd have already heard from the authorities. This was more of a glancing blow. It crashed into our condo at about 10 a.m. and lit up our kitchen like a supernova. We were celebrating the completion of our income taxes with a special breakfast. Your father saved $90 this year by doing them himself, and it only took him 137 hours. Except for the back of his head, I hadn't seen him since February. Basically, I've been a Meals on Wheels volunteer, delivering food to a shut-in, an unshaven shut-in, surrounded by piles of receipts carefully hoarded over the last year, armed with a calculator, hunched over a computer, and muttering obscenities as he squints at fine print well beyond his capacity to actually see. Anyway, it's important to celebrate the little things, so I prepared a quiche and set the breakfast table, complete with flowers, in the sunroom. Though there was no sun on Wednesday. It was one of those kite-flying kind of days, if you're Benjamin Franklin. Dark skies, sideways rain, and howling wind. Your father turned on the Weather Channel to confirm the obvious and see what the afternoon might bring. "Hey, hon, you know what would be good on this English muffin," he said, pushing away from the table. "Some of those great preserves." No, I'll get it," I said, heading for the refrigerator. "You relax." I grabbed the refrigerator door handle, and that is when it happened. A blinding flash of light, followed in no particular order by a scream, a deafening crash of thunder, another scream, 3 smoke alarms, and a fire bell, all going off at the same time. Honestly, Mike, it was like a scene right out of Frankenstein. My hand flew from the fridge like it was a hot curling iron, and I spun around to see your father, somewhere between the floor and the ceiling. I couldn't tell if he was going up or coming down. He seemed to be hovering, like the flying nun. "What the hell?" he yelled. "It's Armageddon." A strange odor filled the air, like a potholder smoldering on a hot burner. Smoke wafted up from the back of the television, and when your father returned to Earth, we ran toward each other and tried to hug, which is hard to do when you're both still holding your ears. As you know, Mike, Dad and I don't like surprises. Our hearts and bladders can't take it anymore. We lead simple lives now. Tuesday was typical. After taking our tax returns to the post office, we went to the funeral home for another viewing. "Isn't this nice?" I said. Death and taxes on the same day. It's always sad, of course, to say goodbye to another friend. But your father likes to look on the bright side. "Could be worse," he says. "Could be one of us in there." After the viewing, we visited our 95-year-old friend at the nursing home. Jane was playing bingo, so we joined her. She talked nonstop, played 3 cards at once, commented on the current headlines, kept a close eye on our 4 cards, and won every game. I'm pretty sure she should be visiting us. Anyway, it's funny, isn't it, Mike, how people react in moments of crisis? My first thought, as we cowered there in our kitchen, trying to hug each other with no hands, was not gratitude for being alive or concern for our neighbor's well-being. I didn't even think about the fire that might very well be racing through the condo building at that very instant. No, my first thought was for the smoldering television in the corner and the inevitable nightmare of replacing it. Normal people would drive to Circuit City and just buy a new one. But as you know, your father is not normal people. No, a purchase of this magnitude would require research. Lots and lots of research. I saw it all flash before me in a moment as the quiche went cold on the table. It would be like tax season all over again. This one filled not with receipts and stock forms and pension documents, but with consumer guides, focus groups, opinion polls, and stacks of yellow legal pads filled with brand names, performance histories, prices. It would be 6 months of comparison shopping at least. Last year, it took him 3 weeks to buy a box of light bulbs. Our breathing was still rapid and shallow when Dad ran downstairs to let the firemen in, and I finally checked on the neighbors. There was extensive damage, but thankfully, no injuries. When I returned, Dad greeted me at the door, tablet in hand. "Hey, Peg, I've been researching lightning strikes, and guess what? According to this, you and I were in the presence of a super intensive electrical charge." "Yes," I said. "Now that you mention it, I do remember something like that happening about 5 minutes ago." He followed me through the condo as I turned on ceiling fans and opened the kitchen door. The smell was still there, like someone made a campfire in the living room and put it out with a bucket of water. "Well, listen to this," he said. "It's a proven phenomenon that lightning sometimes leaves strike victims with enhanced capabilities." His eyes were as round as golf balls. "What are you reading, John? The National Enquirer?" "No, it's Psychology Today, Peg, and it says so right here. Enormous discharges of electricity from lightning can dramatically impact the way the human brain functions." Your father proceeded to read me the entire story of a 42-year-old surgeon from New York who started hearing music in his head after being struck by lightning, interrupting himself periodically to emphasize the important parts. "Did you hear that, Peg? He bought a piano and taught himself to play. Is that not incredible?" I may have chortled. Dad pointed back to his tablet. "I'm not making this up. The guy left a career in medicine to become a classical musician. It's documented." "But John," I said, "we didn't sustain a direct hit." "No, but we were in the presence of a significant discharge." "Yes," I said, "we were. And now I'm in the presence of another one." Ever since, your father has been waiting for some superhuman power to manifest. When he left for his daily walk that afternoon, he said, "Don't expect me back anytime soon. I may have a sudden power surge and wind up in Pennsylvania." Well, he was back 10 minutes earlier than usual, drenched in sweat, pointing to his Fitbit. "See, a 20% increase over yesterday's time. Something is different." "Yeah," I said, "you're trying to give yourself a heart attack." Then he made me time him as he raced through a Sudoku. To his credit, he did finish much faster than usual, but the numbers were all wrong. He didn't seem to care. I'm telling you, Peg, something is different. I can feel it. That evening, I played the piano for our church service, as usual. "Don't be surprised if you play flawlessly," Dad said, brandishing his tablet once again. "It says right here, lightning has had a proven effect on physical, cognitive, and artistic ability." My friend Pat congratulated me after the service. "You sounded great, Peg. I only counted 6 mistakes." "Par for the course," I said. "But never mind all that, Michael. Here's the big news. When I got home from church, your father was watching the Weather Channel on a brand new flat-screen television." "Good Lord," I said. "Where did that come from?" "What, this? Oh, I ran out to Best Buy while you were at church and picked up a new one. You like it?" Honestly, Mike, you could have knocked me over with a feather. Who was this strange man in our condo that looked like your father? "What kind is it?" I asked. "Was it on sale?" The man who looked like your father shrugged. "Don't know," he said. "Didn't really have time to get bogged down in all those details. Know what I mean?" "Please, come home soon, son. You have got to see this before lightning strikes again. Love, Mom." Struck by lightning. Awesome.